Let's talk about water scarcity. What do we mean by water being scarce? Well, basically what we're talking about is water not being available enough for us to be able to drink, us being able to eat, us being able to grow our crops and grow our fruit and vegetables that we need, and also being able to bathe ourselves and make sure that we have water that will help with the necessary functions that we have in our everyday lives. So what sort of things then affect water and make it scarce? Well, let's look at two examples today. One of them is an example that we looked at in our previous video where we talked about the Mekong River. And we saw how important the Mekong River was to people's lives in Vietnam. Now imagine if that river was... You could see people had the insane idea of creating a dam. And I say insane not because it was a bad idea, but because clearly they didn't think about how that would affect the livelihoods of the people that use the river. Another example of how water can be scarce is something that might not necessarily be under our direct control, such as drought. That drought has had an enormous impact on places such as Australia. One example of this is, of course, the Murray-Darling Basin system.
That's this massive area, covering more than 1 million square kilometres, with at least 77,000 k's of river. It's also Australia's most important agricultural region, because around a third of our national food supply comes from the farms here.
The Murray River itself has been afflicted a lot by drought, and that has affected our farmers who have found it difficult to get water to irrigate their crops, but it's also had an impact on the livelihoods of people that live near the Murray River.
There's no water for irrigation.
How does it feel looking at this river and not being able to touch it?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, all this water going past. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It's a nightmare.
So you can see that this is a complex issue with many different opinions and many different thoughts and points of view. This is why we are studying this subject. This is why this is such an important topic that we think about, because this is a part of our lives. Not too long ago, Melbourne itself suffered through a drought where our water storage fell to as low as 40%, which meant that we were not able to wash our cars or the garden and things like that as much as we would like. But that is a very luxurious part of our use of water. There were people around this state and around this country who were not even able to get enough water to grow the crops and therefore feed their own families on the land. You can see why water is such an important issue to study and to think about.